Okay, we're on.
We're on.
I saw that hand waving back there. We're on. Welcome to NJ Discover Live TV.
Welcome back.
Tara Jean. This is a very special night. We're here actually on a Friday night. We're usually here on Monday nights. And we're never here.
I like it here on
Friday nights is nice.
Yeah.
There's a whole ambiance to that because you can sleep late tomorrow and stuff. But beyond all of that, we have the most special show that we've ever had. Truly, by far the most special show that we ever had, and the excitement. I'm so excited, and thanks to our friend Laura Matson, publicist, for putting this all together. But we have the cast and the director from shooting Clerks, this amazing new film that's going to be premiering over the next week or so, and we even have cast members from the original Clerks. That was made in 1994. So there's so much that we have to jump into.
Yeah.
So we're gonna just have to jump. There's
Jump right in.
I don't care what you did last weekend.
No.
We usually do those banterings. There's just too much to do.
All right, so we're gonna learn a lot today.
We're gonna learn a lot about this amazing culture of clerks and shooting clerks.
Okay.
And thank you all, because basically everybody should know that most of you guys have flown in from Scotland to be here, but not so much to be here, but to be at the next 3 premieres of shooting Clerks. And there's so much to learn. So
I think they flew in for our show.
I want to believe that. I want to believe that. We're there. We've arrived. You and I. So okay. You're introduced, Tara Jean.
Yes, and Cal Schwartz.
And I'm introduced.
Cal
So
Schwartz,
why don't we go around and we're going to introduce. I'm looking right at Jay Booton, who plays Dave Klein in Shooting Clerks 2. So why don't you just say a quick little bio of yourself, whatever you want to say, a little history, whatever. Where you went to elementary school, whatever you want to say.
I'm from Sheffield originally, which is a town in South Yorkshire. I went to Manchester, I went to Salford University and studied media. Been into acting since I was very young, and then took some time away after I graduated to try and do behind the scenes technical stuff. Struggled. My friend cast me. She's a playwright. Cast me in her play that was at the that we put on a production on at a big Salford theatre, and that got me back into it. People saw it. My old teachers saw it and said, "What have you been doing recently?" And I said, "Nothing really for about 4 years. I haven't done any acting." And they said, "Do yourself a favour, get an agent and pursue it, because I reckon you could do well." So I did, and I've been doing it about 8 years professionally. Yeah.
Okay. Next up, Brett Murray.
Yeah. I actually grew up in the Scotch Plains here in New Jersey.
Wow.
In about 2005, my dad had a bit of a midlife crisis and decided to uproot the family back to Scotland.
Wow.
So we moved around Scotland for a few years. I went to high school over there. Once I got into university in a small Scottish city called Dundee, I was studying games development. And it was through the digital media content of that course that I met the director, Chris Downie, and heard he was working on a couple of short films. Went home, watched the short films, and became involved from that point, just by offering kind of an insider's eye in terms of you're setting a movie where I grew up, so I can tell you what looks right, what sounds right, and then it just kind of snowballed into ending up behind the camera and in front of the camera and doing all the bits in between. So.
And you play in the movie Kevin's best friend, Brian Johnson.
Yes,
and you're also a accent coach?
Yeah, I taught.
Okay.
When you see the film, you can blame everyone's accents on me because I taught. Some people showed up on set and were fantastic at getting the accent. A lot of the actors were able to do an American accent and just had to make sure that they were dropping the right T's, replacing them with D's, and bits and pieces like that. Some people we did have to start more sort of from scratch. It was kind of a consideration for the film that really we were casting for a look as well as trying to find a voice and an attitude because of the content of the film, and trying to find a basis for the character and trying to find an actor to then fit that.
Okay. Mark Frost, who just flew in hours ago.
Indeed.
We're very grateful. And you're a real trooper. So you play Kevin Smith.
Yep.
In the film. So a little bio.
I don't really do acting professionally. When I was 17, I think, I was at a house party, and this guy's then girlfriend was there, and he asked me, he's like, how would you like to be in a post-Holocaust cannibal movie? Which is what he was making at the time. And yeah, I've just been making movies for fun with him ever since. And yeah, it just so happened that when this opportunity came along, I bear passing resemblance to Kevin. So yeah, I'm just along for the ride, really.
You're actually a convenience store clerk as well in real life.
Yeah, me and my dad run a convenience store together, so it resonates very deeply.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a lot. You'll unlock all these little intermingling webs.
Wow, that's so interesting that you did that. So you have all that
yeah, all of the deep
ingrained.
feelings of rage at customers
Yeah.
I can empathize with greatly.
And a lot of the scenes that I saw in Clerks really take place.
Yeah, there's generally a lot more swearing in Scotland.
Okay.
But,
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Christopher Downie, director.
Hello.
Little
Bio. Well, I've been into film my whole life. Started off collecting VHS and really enjoying it, and had people telling me, why don't you play football or stop wasting your time? And then when I was in college for art and design, my friend was doing a film course. I was about 16, 17, and he tells me, also I'm doing a film course, and I scratched my head and looked at him and I said, I didn't know you could actually go to school for film. So the next year I enrolled in I think it was an intermediate foundation class. Did a couple of years on that. I got 2 diplomas. Then I gave it up because it was too tough. It wasn't really too tough. I was just having great difficulty doing next to nothing and having people assume that I was a filmmaker and then hire me with nothing, in the can. So I wasn't really doing anything or putting much effort into it, so it was really my own fault. And it wasn't until I did a short film, it was a sort of pastiche on how Hollywood treat celebrities. So I did that, and that kind of exploded, and that's the first time we had Mark on as Kevin. But he was a sort of approximation of Kevin, like a sort of fantastical Ricky Gervais version of him. And then the next film, we decided to do a straight-up biopic, which was Get Greedo, and that's where we got Chris Bain, who plays Jason Mewes in the film.
Okay.
And yeah, just like everybody says, it snowballed from there, and I got my degree in art and design, which is what I started doing and gave up. Did film, then gave that up and started doing art, and then gave that up again eventually to come back full circle and do film. And here we are in Jersey, showing the film to Kevin Smith fans and Kevin Smith alike. So
Wonderful.
So, well, I think we got a really talented crew here, and I can tell you guys have a lot to talk about. But what I want our viewers to start off with is the movie is about the making of Clerks. So, in your words, briefly describe what Clerks is about.
Clerks is a day in the life of 2 convenience store clerks, 2 very different convenience store clerks, and the strange goings on over the course of the, I think it's a 12-hour shift.
Okay, and
So-
that's just the whole movie.
Absolutely.
And that's almost like a reality show now, the way they do that,
Yeah.
because it's real life and there's no, love stories and background stuff.
There
It's just-
is romance in there.
and it's all filmed in one.
One store,
in
yeah,
one store.
one location. It was shot at night mostly because obviously the store had to be operational.
Okay.
So Kevin didn't sleep, and I believe certain other people like Brian didn't sleep either. So going to work,
So that, yeah.
2 hours sleep, going to work, coming in, shutting off the store, making sure all the lights are not humming, and make sure that the refrigerators are not, and then boom, get to work.
Wow.
1 or 2 takes because film's expensive, didn't have digital video or anything like
And
that.
that's
So
how they did it.
yeah.
Wow. And then the phenomenon about Clerks. I mean, just
Phenomenal.
worldwide. Though obviously it was filmed in New Jersey, but it touched the world, right?
Yep, it did. It certainly did. By the way, I have a by the way. I just decided and mentioned it, I think, to Laura before, that tomorrow, in honor of you all, on the way to the premiere tomorrow in the Highlands, I'm stopping off at Quick Stop.
Ah.
And I'm going to buy
Pack of
is it
cigarettes.
Gatorade.
cigarettes. Gatorade.
Gatorade.
Buying a Gatorade and cigarettes. I don't smoke.
Pack of cigarettes,
And
yeah.
so the cigarettes, just cigarettes. There's no name. There's never a name on that. But anyway, I'm doing that tomorrow because I think it would be a great thing to do because I'm. But anyway, so.
So where was the film Clerks filmed at a quick, like what type of, was it exact street corner?
It was filmed in Leonardo at a store
Right.
called Quick Stop. And if you see it, I think one of the most impressive things about it is the production value. You look at it and you go, oh, this is amazing, sort of big store, big flashy sign. And it looks like something that was set up to make it look like
It's
this big
real.
landmark, but it's real, it's
real.
still there, and it's
Yeah.
operational.
Yeah.
Pretty much looks the same inside and out. Of course, they allude to Kevin, so there's like a Clerks 2 poster and there's plaques and things
Okay.
like that, but it's kind of unchanged, which I know is an advantage when coming to shoot Clerks 2 and Strike Back and things like that. But yeah, one location, inside and out, just different times of day.
Okay.
It put that shop on. It's the most famous convenience store on the planet.
Mhm.
I can't think
Correct.
of anyone
In the
that's just,
planet,
yeah.
Correct.
Sure.
It put that part of, people come here from all over to visit all the locations from all the movies and Kevin's store and Jack's music shop, and that's certainly what we did the first time, and we'll be doing it again. We've been
Sure.
at Quick Stop, we've been to Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash twice. We just
Right.
popped in.
Mm-hmm.
We will be going there to spend a good few dollars, because we're fans as well as being
Correct.
makers of the movie.
So yeah, to me, I can't wait to find out how, because you filmed it in Scotland,
All the interiors were shot in Scotland with
but it's
some
of
exceptions.
this store in
Yeah.
New Jersey. So we're going to find out about that
Yes.
soon, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to start with the first question.
Yes, you
Okay.
start. You jump right in.
Okay, fans of Kevin Smith. You're obviously all fans of Kevin Smith, and how did that come about? Like,
One at a time.
I'll let you Jay start because he's got a good story. So.
I was introduced to Kevin Smith and his work when I was about 12 or 13, just before Dogma was going to be released in the cinema. My older sister Jana, she is a big fan, was and still is before me, a huge Kevin Smith fan, and I'd never heard of him as of 12. And she said, right, this is a film coming out in the cinema called Dogma. I want you to come and see it with me because I think you'll really enjoy it. She's 6 years older than me, so she's kind of, and my other brother's 9 years older than me, so there's a big gap. So she's like, I want to take you under my wing and I'm going to show you what's cool and teach you what's cool. I was like, all right. But she gave me the VHS, and she's like, before you watch Dogma, you have to get your education. You have to learn about this person. So she gave me Chasing Amy, Clerks, and Mallrats on VHS. Mallrats, the cartoony cover appealed to me, so I watched that first. Absolutely loved it. Watched Chasing Amy, and I don't think I was emotionally mature enough to really appreciate it, its depths at that age. But it was fun. There was lots of swearing and kind of naughty references and stuff. At 12 years old, that was awesome. And Jay and Silent Bob were in it again, so that was cool. I was like, oh, so these characters all know each other, and no. And then I watched Clerks, and I wasn't, because it was black and white, and I think it's because I was so young, I was kind of like, nah, all right, I'll watch it. And I really enjoyed it again because of all the references and the naughty bits and all this kind of stuff. And but it was my favourite. Mallrats was my favourite. But anyway, she took me to see Dogma, and then ever since then I've been hooked. And then obviously he does podcasts, and I listen to every single one religiously every week, and everything he produces from then on, I've just like soaked up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a great opportunity for me to be involved in this.
All right, Scotch Plains.
Yeah.
I can call you Scotch Plains. Okay.
Whatever.
Okay.
We all know who you're talking
Okay.
to. I actually came to sort of find Kevin Smith through the podcasting route. I had a bunch of like casual brushes with his films on like late night cable TV, flicking through channels, or again hanging out with either I guess friends and older siblings who were like, oh, you got to see this bit. It's this one funny thing from this one movie. So I think I channel hopped through Clerks when I was quite young. Channel hopped through Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. But it was actually when I had moved to Scotland. It was one of the ways of kind of keeping in touch with like a component of my identity, I guess, was the fact that Kevin Smith told a bunch of stories about New Jersey, and that I was familiar with the characters because around the same time I had seen Dogma and sort of put two and two together and was like, oh, okay, now I know who these guys are. Now I know who Jay and Silent Bob are in the film context, as well as sort of the podcast context, that this is who Kevin is and what he talks about. So I think it was actually that route that I actually listened to loads of the podcasts and then found the films through them.
Mark.
Yeah, I was just introduced, I think, the way most people are when you're 12, 13, and people just are like, oh, you got to see this, and of course you laugh your ass off. But as the years went on and I started working at a convenience store, it became
You too. Yes.
yeah, it, as I said before, like deeply empathised with how he was going, and I think what he did making Clerks and the reason that he's so popular as an indie filmmaker is that anyone who's ever worked retail or customer service can see themselves there, and they can see those characters saying things that they're not allowed to say at work, and that's the part of his work that really resonates with me.
I was, as you know, as I said, big into VHS and eventually DVD, Blu-ray and all that, but I had a friend who was a huge film snob and a bit of a curmudgeon, and he would buy all the latest releases ex-rental from Blockbuster. So he buys this film, which I remember seeing a trailer for, and again, it was Dogma. I remember thinking it was great to see these two fallen angels having an argument. They were bickering and then get in an elevator and decide that they're going to kill people. I thought that's weird, but just perfect. And then I confused it with Stigmata. So I sit down to try and watch Stigmata, and it's like, this isn't funny. Why? This woman's bleeding from the hands, and there's no Jay and Silent Bob here, and it's really dark. Realised I got the wrong movie. It was Dogma. And then this friend of mine, he bought it ex-rental, and we sat down to watch it. I was quite excited. Watched it, loved it, turned to him, and he went, "This is rubbish. Utter trash. You want to buy it?" I said, "Okay." So I bought it, and I wore it out over the course of maybe 6 years. And I just kept developing more and more of a taste for Kevin's movies. And I think obviously there's the aspect that Mark was talking about, in as much as you can really relate with certain things, but it was also because he does films with his own accent, in his own voice, and he doesn't really care if anybody else is doing stuff like that. I mean, of course, people like Tarantino, he does very much do it his way, but Kevin did it in a way that was sort of two shots, and it was all about talking and colourful humour and colourful language and things like that. But again, the overarching shared universe aspect, which everybody's doing now, he was ahead of the game with that. He was also ahead of the game with like sort of like the romantic element, where the guy is acting like the jealous girlfriend or the jealous boyfriend, and it's a platonic relationship. And he expanded on that when it was someone who was sexually in love with someone who was straight as well. So he played around with the different conventions, but that's like a big component as to why I gravitated towards him and just kept wanting more and more and more. And that's how the film came about. I assumed someone would make this movie, and when no one did, I was like, well, I want to watch it,
Wow.
so I'll make it.
What a brilliant idea to do this. Just brilliant. I have a theory. I kind of watch icons and watch how history treats icons and how it slowly, I look at Bruce Springsteen, that singer guy that you all know, and I look at him, and I've gone to symposiums, and they say that in 30 or 40 years he'll be even elevated to a higher status as this almost hypnotic, surreal lyricist. And I'm saying the same thing about Kevin Smith, that when, in film class at UCLA in the year 2025, they'll start really analyzing Kevin Smith, and you guys, as a matter of fact.
I don't know about that.
Well, but start analyzing, and just how great and how forward and amazing his work and your work is. And hopefully we'll get to some of the real introspective stuff here that sometimes may go unnoticed. But it's my thinking that down the road, even more recognized, even more than you recognized him, but even more recognized how great and what a pioneer thinker that he is, and it'll even get higher and higher up on that, like Alastair Sim. That's a little private joke. When Kevin, not Kevin, but when Christopher and I were chatting back and forth emails, I discovered that you're a big fan of Alastair Sim, great actor from the 50s.
The best Scrooge.
Yeah, the best, the only
Even
Scrooge.
now,
By the way, the only Scrooge.
Yeah.
From Dickens. There's none other. I don't even care about George C. Scott. Nobody is Alastair Sim. And I watch that movie all the time, and I'm so moved. We could talk about that off air because we could talk about that for hours. That movie, the mood, the solemnity, the power, and the foresight of Dickens. I don't want to talk about that now. So anyway, you have to control me. You have to control me. Yes. All right. So we're moving on. She's controlling me. So we're moving on to the next question, and this is particularly important to me because I am a pure Jersey guy. I mean, I didn't leave Jersey and go to Scotland. No offense, but I've been here. I don't even cross
You're not
rivers.
pure anymore.
No Hudson, no Delaware River. I am here solid. Sometimes I go visit him over there, my son Neil. But this is important to me because I want to know from all you guys, starting with Christopher, what were some of the challenges that you faced when you were trying to film? You're smiling. When you're trying to film in Scotland and you're faking Jersey, and I love my state, and you can't fake Jersey. But what were some of the challenges
How'd
you
you
faced?
do it?
The biggest challenge, aside from the accent, was going outside. You can fake inside easily if you've got enough money, which we didn't really worry about at certain points. But you can just put up a set and just really work on replicating even just a corner of the quick stop. We made a little more than the corner. Get the right actors and boom, you're okay. But one of the biggest problems was showing outside. So at first the script said interior, exterior, setup, interior. So it was really just establishing shots and things like that. And then when my producer Brett and I got chatting to our other producer Ryan James, he spoke about, let's open the film up and do things outside. And we can't really do that unless we shoot against a green screen, and we don't want to shoot against a green screen if we can help it. And that was the biggest challenge. But luckily we were able to get a second unit director in Ryan James as well. So he actually came to Jersey round about the time I was getting. In fact, he came here the day I was getting married.
Oh wow!
So he was in Jersey and I was getting married. I was up at the bar getting maybe my second drink as a married man, and I'm speaking to my wife. I'm like, 2 seconds, I'm just going to tie my shoelace. And I turn around and I open the phone. I'm like, oh my God, Brian O'Halloran. Oh, look at that, Scott Schiaffo. Oh, they look great in their costumes. Yes, dear, I'm coming. And then I would walk away. But I kept doing that. I kept checking. I was so interested to see everybody in their costumes and see, all the shots that I'd envisioned when I was writing the script. So definitely that. And of course, obviously, you're limited by equipment and time as well. A lot of the actors had day jobs or they were doing other projects and they had to go and come and things like that. So we had to worry about that, and sometimes we just had to push on one specific actor. We had a day where it was just all Jay because he needed to go. So we did a whole day of Jay and a whole day another Jay, and we just felt there was one-sided conversations. But in the edit, you fix it because you do everybody else's sides of the conversation, and it somehow has worked out, and it's something that I'm quite proud of. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah.
I would imagine so.
The inside shots, were they shot in a store?
No,
at night?
they were filmed in a set.
Oh, okay.
And we got a small set, and we were, unlike Brian and Jeff and Kevin, we shot during the day because there was a lot of the times where we have to make it look like the store is open, and you have to have the shutters up. See, in the movie they have the shutters down because gum was in the locks. So there's their creative way of getting around. Why is there no sunlight outside? So they have the shutters down, and that was quite easy for us. We had a double-sided window, and you would just slot in what is essentially corrugated plastic that was sprayed black, because we couldn't put any metal in there, so it would break the window. The window did break, but that's because it was hot inside and hot outside. So that was we're limited by that. But we did something that they did in Clerks too. We blew out everything outside and balanced it slightly lower inside, so everything was perfectly balanced outside, but all you could see outside was white and maybe a bit of a bush. And then later on you could just get rid of that bush and it would look fine. So the same as for the RST set as well. We just blew out outside, and it just, you could get away with it. Other things you couldn't get away with. There's a really two tricky shots with Mark walking in front of Quick Stop in front of a shutter with a certain something on it, we'll not say anymore, and another shot where Mark is just walking through Highlands, and the area we shot in was very British looking.
Okay.
So I had to painstakingly go in and paint out a lot of the background.
Wow.
And there's something like 700 frames.
Wow.
It was a shot. It's a short shot, and then we're able to replicate a little less in the next shot, which was another 600 frames, but it was less.
Wow.
Wow.
But it looks
That'd
good.
be interesting to see that.
It's not even Mark
Very
either. It's a
cool.
body double we did because
Really?
Mark had to go to his job, so
Yeah.
we had a body
Oh
double
my
for that.
gosh.
It was just one of those
Yeah.
constraints. I was going to say one of the other things that we did. I was really concerned that it would come out as like close up the movie, but we kept things really tight just in order to keep things kind of controlled and directed, and that helped a lot in terms of convincing the audience to believe we were where we actually were, because literally like there's scenes where if you move a tiny bit to the left, you'll see it's just a wall. You'll see, it just looks like Britain outside. So I think that was something that was a little difficult to overcome, was to make sure that the shots are quite tight, but still expressive and convincing. I think it comes across really well.
I was going to say, you can say, yes, you did a successful job with that.
I think we did, yeah. Everybody, nobody's come up to us and said, why is there a telephone box? Why is there a blue telephone box? It's not
See,
Doctor Who.
Those lights
Or
were wrong.
the light switches, that was another
Right.
thing. The light switches are all wrong. And when you're in
Oh
a car,
my
it's the wrong way
gosh.
around. It's easy though. All you have to do is make sure the shot is locked off. You remove the light switch, put an American one on top. You don't even have to keyframe it and animate it. And then for the car, make sure no one is wearing anything with lettering on it. And then you digitally flip it.
Flip it.
That's it. And shoot at night.
That is so
Again,
cool.
something else that you guys did. Shoot at night for car, and then get our line producer to run past with a light.
Yeah,
So you fake a car.
Wow.
it looks great.
It does.
Didn't on the night. I was like, oh my
This
god,
is
what
terrible,
Are we doing?
yeah.
This is awful.
This is gonna
It
look
was my
awful.
brother running back and forth with the work light. We were like, yeah, just keep going.
But it came out great.
Oh yeah, amazing, yeah.
Who knew?
Just throw in some ambience of the car,
Right.
which I think you
Yeah.
recorded, and it's great.
I think
know-
some of that stuff, it wouldn't have been possible to do this 10 years ago, I think, because of the help that we had.
The technology and the help and everything.
From across
Oh,
the
yeah.
water, and just
Yeah.
the accessibility of having a digital camera where you don't have to rely on film,
Right.
having the ability to green screen certain elements of the film, and be able to film one half of a scene with one actor and then another half with another, because someone works on weekends and the other person doesn't.
That's just
Amazing.
great.
Yeah.
No, it's
Somehow,
just amazing.
regarding limitations, somehow, even though there's a huge ocean in between us, the easiest things to coordinate, people like Brian, Scott Schiaffo, Marilyn Ghigliotti, and Marilyn lives in LA. We just happened to get her when she was in Jersey. That was all done over a weekend. They just worked non-stop, a day here, a day there, and finding locations, and it was, incredible. They did a fantastic job.
Now, Marilyn doesn't play Veronica.
No.
Okay.
However,
I don't want to,
However,
cry.
Marilyn appears. She's got a role in the film, a substantial role, very important role. Her jacket that she's wearing is Veronica's jacket. It's the exact same jacket.
Oh, wow.
I can't remember if she asked to wear it, but I was you don't have to ask to wear it, please do.
Right.
But obviously she's wearing a different shirt underneath, so you might not notice it, but it's one of those sort of Easter eggs that's in there, and we're really happy that she's wearing it, because proper Clerks coat.
Sure.
Deep
Yeah.
cut
Oh, sure.
references.
Absolutely, because the big shoulder pads, you remember that coat, just like you remember Randall's skinny jeans or the boots tucked into the combats.
Oh, yeah,
It's,
yeah.
it's one of those costume things that people, because you cosplay as any of those characters, and we did, but we just happened to film it.
So, off topic, but continuity, that is so important for you.
It was at the beginning.
It was.
Oh,
Let's do take 14.
this
You
is just,
just
I'm improv.
You just didn't. You did, and then you're like, right, we're on take 2. You have to hurry. We're going to run out of time. We're going to run out of light. We've got no money. We've got this, that, and the next thing. Constraints. This guy needs to go. Please, no pressure. But after a while, continuity was something that the main thing that I thought about. If anyone's ever seen The Departed, a far greater filmmaker by 1,000,000%. Martin Scorsese made an amazing movie, won him the Oscar in 2006, The Departed. And there's a scene where Jack Nicholson is talking to the young Matt Damon. You can clearly see him from the side. It's like a 30-degree angle, and he's talking. And as he's talking, this full cigarette that's just been lit is bobbing around in his mouth. And then when we cut to the front, as he finishes the line, there's no cigarette. And it's the first thing you notice. It's not something that you can miss.
How does that happen?
He
It
probably
happens.
thought that's the best take, and
Yeah.
we're not spending 200,000 putting a digital cigarette in his mouth.
Wow.
So and if he can get away with it, then maybe on a slim chance.
Sure.
But nothing's
Okay.
noticeable.
There's always going to be some nitpicker
course.
who's going to be like,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, you're.
There's like
Yeah.
anachronistic errors, like
Okay.
like caps styles or.
But in Clerks, to Kevin, and this is because I've been binging. I told everybody here I've been binging. So the only thing I saw in Clerks, the only little flaw in continuity was there was a sign about shoplifting, and it was there, and then it wasn't.
Yeah, that did move.
And that was in the whole movie. That was it. But you don't even really. I picked up on it because I'm a continuity freak.
We did that. We moved the sign when it's meant to be
Okay.
moved.
Okay.
and
Okay.
So we copied them.
Ah.
Because there's also moments where we make wardrobe choices for Mark. There's something really small and inconsequential that I just needed. Years ago, I remember Kevin posted on Facebook, he said, look what I found. This is a badge I wore for a whole year. And it was Batman the movie 1989 coming next summer. So I think he got it in 1988. And there was no Michael Keaton images. So it was just an image taken from a Batman comic. And then Batman written in a very sort of plain Times New Roman. Then the movie coming summer 1989, and it's this square yellow badge. I remember them really vividly. And when it came time to do the film, I think I spent way too much, something like $40 for the small button. And it came all the way from America, and we put it on Mark's lapel, along with his Silent Bob coat and the Kevin Smith kind of outfits he was wearing at the time. And then it came time for us to do the first clerk scene, and I thought, you need to take that off because he doesn't wear it in the scene. So without any reason, without any explanation, when they're doing a scene where he has to be Silent Bob, he's not wearing it. Kind of like when Homer has a watch on. You're watching The Simpsons, and you're like, Homer's got a watch on, he's going to look at his wrist and see what time it is, then it's going to disappear again. That's what we had to do with Mark, because we didn't really want to contrive a reason why he's taking this badge on and off. Same with Jason. He's got the hoop earring in when he films as Jay, but when he's not in. They wouldn't have done that, but
Right.
we wanted to be creative with our costume choices while also honouring the actual costumes everybody wears.
Before we go to the next, I have to digress. It's one of my favorite words. I'm digressing, and I want to remind all our viewers that on August 6th, now tomorrow's premiere is sold out, and it was sold out in a couple days in Atlantic Highlands.
Yeah.
But on August 6th, there are still tickets available. Correct? There's still some tickets available for Shooting Clerks film screening dot. So it's Shooting Clerks film screening dot brownpapertickets.com. So if people go there, and we'll do this one more time at the end, if people go there, they can pick up tickets for the shooting at the Brightside Tavern in Jersey City on August 6th. And then on August 13th at the Monmouth Film Festival in Red Bank, the home of Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash. In Red Bank, if you go to www.monmouthfilmfestival.org/shooting clerks, you can get tickets that are still some available for August 13th in Red Bank. So I had to.
And all that's on the website?
All that is.
So if they didn't-
By the way, that's all on. You can also find that information on njdiscovered.com.
Right.
There's an extensive article with
By
pictures
Calvin
of you
Ford.
guys that I found. I was a lurker, I lurked, and I went into all these places and found pictures of you guys because it's, yeah, you too. So, yeah. So I'm a lurker sometimes, but
Great
you go to
article.
njdiscovered.com and you can find all the information there as well. Okay,
Right.
back to you.
We have another question.
Yes.
How did you all prepare for the film? Preparation.
Should we
Key.
start with Mark? 'Cause
Yes.
he's the man.
How
He's
did
the
I
man.
do it? It was a long time ago. Yeah, I guess I just read lots of books that Kevin had written, because he's in a way it's one of the easiest roles to prepare for ever, because the guy's made his living off of talking about himself on his podcasts and things like that, and all about the situation when they were filming the movie. Like, that's his bread and butter. So just going back through podcasts and reading books, you can get a real sense of who he was then and how he's changed, and just trying getting over the fear of recording myself speaking in another accent and sending it to people, and I'm just being like but we got there in the end. I was happy with it.
I think it was also the fact you'd spent, by the time we got to the feature film, Mark had played Kevin in 3 or 4 short films. So over the course of that time, like, he had the accent down, he had a lot of the mannerisms down, he was able to kind of turn it on and off. But it was just a matter of making sure that we push it up to 11 for the actual performance. Okay.
So who did the casting for the show?
Well, we started casting. We did a lot of casting through Casting Call Pro and StarNow.com and places like that. But we had, was it Surviving Actors that contacted us? That's where we had a good few cast members, but we were having trouble finding people to play. Well, actually, no, we'd found someone who looked just like Brian the year before, and we said, we're not casting you in this short film because you look like Brian O'Halloran. Keep the beard, we'll be in touch. And he stuck around, and we got him on board from when we did the film. But we're having trouble finding people had a strong jaw, the blonde hair, could be cocky like Jeff was, and then we had trouble finding the women characters, because luckily when we were casting through Surviving Actors, both the female leads, so we had Ashley Graziano, who plays Marilyn Ghigliotti, and then we had Stephanie Price, who plays Lisa Spooner, both from America, so they didn't have to do accents. They're not from Jersey, but they didn't have to do accents. But yeah, we had people from Surviving Actors contacted us. Felicity Jackson, one of the names that I remember, and Ruth Kennett, formerly Kennett. I do apologise, I forget her married
That's
name.
Okay.
They contacted us and they said, look, we see that you're casting for this film. We want to bring you down to Manchester and make sure you guys can cast this. We'll put you up. We'll pay for this casting, and we'll do it right. And so that's great. We'd love to, but we're super busy. We really can't. Is there anything else we can do? And they said, oh, we'll do it for you, and we'll send you all the auditions. And they did very well.
That's how you did it.
And that's how we got a good
Everyone, really.
pretty much everyone really at that point.
Essentially, by that point, anyone that we hadn't nailed down, it seemed like we got a third of the people from the previous short films, and then maybe like another third at a push for some of the tertiary roles between some of our own kind of casting. But it was like a good solid third, like that we recruited through the Surviving Actors event, but that we couldn't have done it without essentially the people that showed up there and the people that were lucky enough to get chosen, good enough to get chosen.
I went there. Someone sent me a link. My friend she sent me a link, said, you're into Kevin Smith, check this out on Casting Call Pro or something like that. I was like, oh my god. And it was part of the what was it, Surviving Actors, like a trade show where you go as an actor and they have booths and stuff. And people just rocked up to that, and then they were like, oh, there's an open audition going on, let's go in. And there was streams of people there.
Really?
So yeah, but that's most of them were.
And what Jay isn't saying is he's the only person who auditioned for his respective role. Nobody else auditioned for the role of Dave. And it wasn't just because you looked like him. You were the best. We were talking about this today. You look like him. That's great. Your accent's good. You're a very good actor. It wasn't just that. We could have offered the role to someone auditioning for Ernie, and we'd maybe say, you're better for this role. In fact, we did that with Matt Postlethwaite. I think he auditioned for the Ernie role, but he looked just like Walt, and he could affect the accent and things, so we did that with him. But you look like him, and you were perfect for the role.
From the people I spoke to at the event, everyone was auditioning for the Ernie, medium build, kind of attractive young guy, and I was just like, because I, like you say, if you're asking me about how I prepared, again, since I was 12 years old, I knew the law, I knew the world, I knew the story before I'd read the script, and I knew if I had to be involved, I just had to, and I knew I'm only going to get cast as one person, if anyone, and it's going to be Dave, and Dave was on the list of people. There was a bit of dialogue for him, and I was like, oh, I'm going to apply for Dave, and like I said, you couldn't be there, and I was all excited to go and enthuse about and just gush about Kevin Smith with these two guys who were obviously fans. They weren't there. It was just two random dudes pressing record. So I jumped straight on Twitter and it was just like, all business, in and out. Didn't get to chat with you guys, but looking forward to you seeing my thing on Twitter, and I tagged the guys in it, and they replied straight back saying, "Oh my God, you look exactly like Dave Klein. I can't wait to see your audition piece." And then a couple of weeks later, I got a tweet just saying, "You got the part."
You're in.
And that was it. I was just like, okay.
Perfect.
Wow. Everything just fell into place. It sounds like really, really nice.
Yeah, especially recently, things have started to fall into place.
Okay.
It's
Took
crazy.
effort.
It's good.
Yeah.
And it really has. We're going to do a little housekeeping and we're going to do some juxtaposition. And that almost sounds like a title from Clerks.
It is. It
Yeah.
is.
Perspicacity.
Not only is it.
Perspicacity and
Shall I play the
vagary. So we're going to do a little juxtaposition and bring Brian O'Halloran in here. We have our technical crew, Neil.
So give a little bio of Brian. And
Yes,
so who
well,
he is.
Brian almost doesn't need. Brian O'Halloran, an original cast member. Dante Hicks is here in the studio,
Right on.
live.
I
And in
feel like this
person.
is a live substitution during a World Cup event.
Yeah, it is.
And now you're bringing in the veteran in for his last game ever, so the crowd can go, yeah, he's on the field. Just don't break a leg.
So thrilled you're here.
Well, thank you, Calvin.
Truly.
Thank you, Tara Jean, for having me here as
Oh,
well.
this is
It's,
great.
it's wonderful that this wonderful crew and cast of this film is here in Jersey for a great premiere for Kevin Smith himself. This will be the first time he's seeing it.
Right.
I've seen it now 3 times. I just saw it this past weekend down at the Florida SuperCon, where there was a film festival there where we won Best Film as
Wow.
well. And
Wow.
it's amazing seeing these guys pull off something that I lived.
Yeah.
I never thought I would find an actor playing me in real life, except maybe, Wanted in America or something, America's Most Wanted, or something like that, something depicting my death, something of that nature. But no, these guys did a great job, and Chris and Ryan James, the American producer and director as well, second unit, has been fantastic, and I'm so happy to see this. And I can't wait to see what Kevin thinks of it, really. And I know tomorrow there's a big day in Red Bank for him, and we're going to try to break the record for the most Jay and Silent
heard about
Bobs that are
that.
cosplaying him.
I
so
heard about that.
I didn't realize that Guinness has stooped so low that this is an actual sort of record thing. But it'll be fun. I don't know if I'm going to go down there for that part of it because I hear it's going to rain a lot. But come out anyway, please do, and support the guys down there. A lot of the guys, Mike and Ming from Comic Man, will be there, and Brian Johnson, and a few others. This gentleman who played brilliantly
Right.
is Brian Johnson.
Correct.
So.
Yes.
But thank you for having me.
Oh no, this you add so much ambiance to this evening. A tremendous amount of ambiance.
You sound like my priest.
Well,
Yeah, it's so much
I can be
ambiance,
very
bro.
priestly. Sure, I can be priestly, but as I mentioned to you when you first came in, I've been binging to prepare for this on Clerks all week long. Watched it twice, and then I saw the whole dialogue episode, and just so thrilled and enchanted with your character completely, totally. I can't believe this stuff is happening to me today. I mean, it's the fact that you're here, truly honored. So let's. You're going to jump in. We'll go to the. We should.
Well, I want to ask one thing.
Yes.
Now, so how do you think they did? I mean, was it?
Well,
Not to put you on the spot.
Well, I think they did an actual brilliant job, and it's funny because the biopic is made in the exact same style, technique, gumption that Kevin, David, Scott, myself, and Ed Habsack, and all these guys who really, volunteered to want to be a part of this, put together. And to hear the stories that you were hearing earlier in the interview about how they had to fake day for night and night for day, and how to right hand drive and fake that and reverse it with the brother running around. I mean, these are the exact same issues we encountered. We faked playing hockey on the roof of that place. Yes, we were on the roof, But on that roof are giant refrigeration units. You could maybe skate about as big as the carpeting space right here, about freely without hitting another unit. So it's the cropping of angles. It was that type of thing, and getting the stuff done. I mean, we shot for like 23 days and 2 days of daylight to do the exterior scenes, while they're just pretty much almost the opposite.
The opposite.
And over a 4-year period of putting it together, which was amazing. And so to see it come through, and them, who was it who built the whole set in the bottom of their, was it you? Bottom of your, built the set in his own house, tore out his own house to build sets. And I mean, that's a little,
Oh yeah.
But hey, look where we are now. Now it's an award-winning film from many different film festivals. It's telling a story that I've been very blessed over the past 24 years to have been beloved and be a part of, about where this great filmmaker who still makes amazing films to this day, where he got his start, and how a group of friends surrounding him put this together with love and devotion, and the family as well. We can't forget, of course, his mom and dad who were really behind him and gave him all the energy that he needed to go forward. And it's they did a great job, and I'm very proud of them. And there are moments when I watch it that I choke up. I'm not going to lie to you. I choke up at these moments because I remember those moments. I remember going to Sundance. I remember the party afterwards when we got built. I remember, going to the screening at the IFFM and having 20 people in the audience, 12 of which were us, and wondering, wow, this is how we're going to go from here. And just seeing myself on screen for the very first time was cool. So, they did a great job. I'm very proud of them. I'm extremely happy and look forward to more of their work, actually, because I think if this is their starting point,
What a great starting point.
what a great way to go. So
A phenomenal starting point for you guys, truly.
Well, he said they captured a lot of the moments. How did you do that? Did you interview them, talk to them about, how did you capture the moments?
Well, I interviewed Brian a good few times. Prior to us making it, Brian makes a cameo in Get Greedo as himself, and a lot of people would see his credit at the beginning of the film and be like, oh, amazing, going to get a real clerk, not knowing that they're actually listening to his voice as they read it. And then people go on the board and goes, where's Brian? Oh, he's at the beginning. You hear him. He's on the phone. Because he says his name's Brian. So a lot of people were disappointed that they missed it, and they all went back and went, oh, there's Brian. So I'd known Brian a little bit before then, and was really generous. At that point, I think we did an interview, and I just asked you, just fancy maybe doing a little bit of business at the beginning of this film. So Mark is actually talking to the real Brian O'Halloran at that point, and then as we came closer to writing the script, as I spoke to Brian again, I spoke to Scott Schiaffo, I spoke to Ernest O'Donnell, and they really helped me shape the script, because you could do very much a documentary take of from A to B. This is how it happened, these are the things that happened, but I wanted to capture the essence that surrounded them when they made it, because even if they weren't friends before, they became friends, and you guys are still friends to this day, and you work a lot with each other. I mean, you're the entire Hicks family, for goodness sake. So it's all about making a movie with your friends is the tagline for the film, but it's something that Kevin's been saying for years, and that's something that's rang true with us as well. We're all friends. I've known Mark for 11 years. Brett and I have studied together. I've got my oldest friend on the planet plays Kevin's dad, young Kevin's dad, before he becomes Scott Schiaffo. And I managed to get all my friends involved, and through that really understood the mantra of the film and really understood how they made Clerks and why the film plays so well. It's because it wasn't just a job. It was something that everyone believed in, and it's something that even if they didn't believe in, they believed in Kevin, and they wanted to do it for him, and that's very much what happened with all of us. And yeah.
For me, the brilliance of what you were all involved in, this is off topic, but studying it and appreciating the brilliance of this is you took clerks, regular people, and you got so introspective, and you showed the world that these people have feelings, and they're deep, and the vocabulary and the intellect, these are real people that make up what New Jersey is. And that was another subject I wanted to talk about, but that's the brilliance of what Kevin set out to do, and he did with you all.
Yeah, I mean, he said this numerous times in interviews and podcasts. He made a movie that he didn't see. He didn't see his friends up on screen in movies. And when he saw the movie Slacker, and he was like, you can make your own movie about the people around you and the way you want to shoot it, and he went out to do that. So he made a movie first for himself and his friends, because that was the movie he wanted to see. And it just so happened that a lot of people kind of agreed with it and kind of, wow, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, I'm at this kind of job, this slave of a job, and overeducated, underemployed kind of feeling. And people even today, I do these Comic-Cons from time to time, and I get people to come up to my table going like, you guys got to do a movie about this garage. There's this garage. This guy's a nutbag. I mean, he's doing things with welding, their gas tanks. I mean, I've heard every type of employment movie should be made because of Clerks, and I always tell them, you make it. Kevin made the convenience store movie because that's where he worked and that's what he did. If you know a friend who works, you get people who have the technical skills and maybe not even have the technical skills, because you can make, like he was saying earlier, you can make films on your phone these days, you know what I mean? High definition, you don't really need every kind of accoutrement to make a film. You can make it kind of quickly. And make your film. Kevin preaches this. He's like a regular Tony Robbins up there on stage sometimes about preaching, about doing what you want to do. Don't let people say stop. You have enough no's in your head. Don't let other people say no to you. You make your film, or you write your book, or you make your whatever, you know, and Kevin did. And so it's great to see that it appealed to so many people. It is a working class kind of movie, you know, and it just so happens to be set in Jersey, so it does ring true to what is Jersey. There's that Jersey attitude and Jersey sarcasm, so to speak. So it's something that is very honed into a certain attitude, especially the metro area.
I think that's why I'm in love with Jersey, and everything Jersey was, you know, experience in Jersey. Because at that point, I knew Jersey existed, knew it was close to New York, but New York's the thing that you grow up with because there's cartoons about New York, there's comic books about New York, there's so many movies, TV shows about New York, and then things like Clerks come along, The Sopranos, and you really get an idea of just what Jersey's like, and that's where I fell in love with Jersey. And coming here last year was a dream come true, and I was so excited to come back.
First time?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
First time.
I was so excited to come back, and it's been slightly different because we're living in Highlands, where Kevin grew up. 2 minutes down the road is where his house is. We went to see it.
Wow.
We had some pizza.
Which has since been lifted because of Sandy. All the
Sandy
houses
said
have to be lifted. So now it's Kevin's house, but now it's on these concrete piers.
And we had to fake. We had a couple of shots that we got before the hurricane of Kevin's house, and it looks pretty much as it did then, and as it does in Clerks too. And then the hurricane happened, and the house was lifted, and my thinking was, oh, when's it going to be put down? But that's not why it's been lifted.
No.
And now there's a staircase, and they're planning on putting a garage in underneath. So we had to creatively come up with a way of digitally lowering the house, making it look like it was on the same plane at least. So one thing I wanted to say regarding biopic and Brian was Clerks in an essence is a very, very loose biopic in itself, because Brian, you play an approximation of Kevin, and Randall, that's an approximation of Brian, and that's something that we lean very heavily on in the film
to capture that.
There's scenes in the movie where you see Kevin acting like Brian, and you see Brian acting like Randall. And it's strange even that. So you've got this kind of Russian doll thing where it's, you know, it's sort of a biopic that gives birth to an actual biopic.
And then of course Jay was Jay. So Jay Muse, is a character in himself, and it's wonderful. Chris does a phenomenal job. Chris Bain, who plays Jay Muse in Shooting Clerks, does an amazing job of playing him as well, and I think the fans will gravitate to that character hilariously. So very well written. And these are stories as well that are based on a lot of the podcasts that Kevin has done, the 40,000s of them, I think they're out there now. And he tells his stories, and there's other kind of, a commentary about how Clerks, and there's so much audio, especially out there, of Kevin and Walt and Brian Johnson, on Tell 'em Steve Dave, his podcast especially, that talk about growing up in the Highlands and what they used to do at the rec center and how they all met, and you see it in the film, and it really does go further back than just this is how Kevin made the film and this is how it ended. It's you seeing the growth of this young man from high school all the way through making the Clerks, and therefore further on.
Which is a great American tale.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is.
It is.
It's pure Americana.
And definitely a Jersey icon.
Jerseyana.
Mm.
Another word I just made up, Jerseyana. I think. We have a couple of minutes left. We need just to say a couple words about the institution of indie filmmaking, and how important it is going forward here in America, here in so your comments on indie filmmaking, because we here at NJ Discover, as I mentioned to you earlier, we support all kinds of indie activities, from singing and writing and filmmaking. So your experiences with Indiegogo, how did that help you?
It helped us quite a bit.
Yeah.
When we first started, we had problems because we didn't even have a Facebook page or anything like that. So that was important. And then eventually, when we got more traction and more people, and Kevin tweeted about it and things like that, we eventually did start to rack up an actual budget through Indiegogo, and we had investors and things like that. And it was really because of fellow fans that we were able to do this. And that's a good reach when you're working in the indie
so it
arena.
really helps.
Absolutely, yeah.
Really
I think
helps.
Indiegogo, even GoFundMe and Kickstarter, they really do help. And people, I'm not sure people know how important indie film is, because especially recently, if you make an indie film, you might be the next Marvel director, you might be the next person to take on a DC film or a Disney film, because they think to themselves, what's the problem with this big studio film? It's got no soul. So get someone who can they can't do explosions, they can't do Jerry Bruckheimer, monsters fighting each other, they can't do Transformers, but they can do character. Let's do something like that, give them, and then you give them the special effects guys from ILM or Weta, and then they go in and
explode.
they make it look crazy.
Yes.
So it's even more important than it ever was. All the newest Star Wars directors, and they're all started in indie film.
They're all from the indie world.
Yeah,
So
and of
how
course
important
all
it is.
like people Soderbergh, and they all started in indie film, and back in the same generation as Kevin, slightly before, slightly after. So hugely important.
And you also see them wanting to go back to that simpler type of format too, where less interference from, let's say, a studio or distributor, and more about the soul, the heart of the movie.
Excellent. That's an excellent way to end it.
It is an
because we
excellent
have,
way to.
like,
By the way,
seconds.
we have about another hour's worth of questions.
Yes, we do.
I am so frustrated here because there was so much. We'll have to do that after.
Absolutely.
10
Yep.
pounds of entertainment in a 1 pound bag. you brought
Yeah,
tonight.
exactly, Brian.
Thank you so much, all
Yes.
of you.
Well, thank you for having
coming.
us.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
this was absolutely fabulous. We wish you so much good success,
Oh, thank you.
and we're part of you, and we'll always be fans of you and everything that you're doing.
And thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining
Let's
us.
get back in
See you
here real
next
quick.
time.
Yes, Jay, jump back in.
Come on in, Jay.
At
At least for the
real
good.
quick, is there a Shooting Clerks website that people can jump to?
There's not a website, but you can follow us on Twitter if you go to @UppieDowney, so that's UPPIEDOWNIE, or you
Okay.
can follow Brett at Brett Murray 92,
Yeah.
standard spelling.
Actually, what I'll do is I'll collect all the contact stuff, and
Yeah.
throw it up on our website article, which is there for perpetuity.
And you can just type Shooting Clerks into Facebook,
Yeah,
and
Facebook
Fine,
page.
And you
perfect.
can-
we're big on
So-
Facebook and Twitter.
And people should know, I already told them, go to njdiscover.com. You can see where they can come see the premieres in Jersey City and Red Bank. Are we done?
Yes,
I don't want to be done.
we're done. Thank
No,
you.
seriously, I don't want to be done.
You know, you say when you're having fun, what happens?